Capital Views is sponsored by Northrim Bank, Alaska Oil and Gas Association, ConocoPhillips, and Linden.
Hi, I'm Tim Bradner with Alaska Legislative Digest, and welcome today to Commissioner Cathy Muñoz and former state legislator, Commissioner of the Department of Labor and Workforce Development. Thanks for joining us, Cathy.
Hi, Tim. Thank you for having me.
Commissioner, your department of Labor and Workforce Development touches sort of everything workforce, almost everything workforce related in the state. Labor and workplace safety, employment, unemployment, the whole range of things. But one of your groups tracks economic data in the state, and that's particularly important to Alaska to track what the job trends are, what's happening, where the strong areas of the economy are. But this is something that is pretty much a priority for the department, as I gather.
It is. Our research and analysis team does excellent work forecasting job demand around the state. They do a number of socioeconomic studies and data compilation. And so from that information, that really helps to feed our workforce development, our training programs. The Alaska Workforce Development Board then looks at the data from research and analysis to determine where our priority funding, federal and state training funding will go around the state. But according to research and analysis, going into 2026, our job numbers are very strong. We're projecting 340,800 jobs across all industries. Those numbers do not include sole proprietors or federal employment. So our actual numbers are much higher than that. But this is the highest projected number of jobs in our state's history. So it's a time of a lot of economic activity. There's job growth, job opportunity across many industries, particularly in construction, oil and gas, and healthcare.
One of the things you tend to hear about, though, is that with the industry so strong, particularly in construction and the North Slope work, they have trouble recruiting workers from Alaska. Skill shortages are a concern. And so by necessity, they have to bring in workers from out of state. But what are the latest trends in non-resident? And is that really a concern?
Sure. Our non-resident numbers over the last several decades have ranged from about 20 to now it's about 23%. So we've always been right around 20% in the number of non-resident workers. What we're seeing now is about 23%. And in those high demand areas like oil and gas and construction, and also in the maritime sector, we're seeing a high number of non-resident workers. What we do, though, that we look at that as an opportunity to take our workforce training through the Alaska Workforce Development, through the Alaska Workforce Investment Board, to work closely with our regional training providers around the state and target those areas, those high wage jobs that are held by non-residents. So that gives us an opportunity to really be strategic in where we put our resources.
Well, not only that, but I think there's a lot of potential for young people coming up through high school and going into college who yet to choose a career path. And I know that your department works a lot with high schools and young people. And maybe you could just give us a little perspective on what's currently underway.
Sure. So in October of 2023, we convened held a gathering of industry leaders and educators and the regional training providers from around the state to develop some common goals around workforce development. And one of the themes that we heard over and over again was that the state of Alaska needs to do more around career awareness, particularly at the secondary school level. And so from there, we looked at that information. We said, this is an opportunity. We've got to do more in our high schools. We launched a pilot project, a career guide project with the Department of Ed to put career guides in some of our rural school districts, starting with Bethel and then areas around Fairbanks, the rural areas around Fairbanks. And that has grown to a statewide effort. We are working closely with the Workforce Alliance, Bristol Bay School District. We're also working with Sea Alaska Heritage in Southeast Alaska. The idea is to put career guides in the high schools where they're working one-on-one with students to develop a career plan, a training plan. We're getting them to fill out the FAFSA and things like that so that they will have financial resources to meet their goals. But really, it's all about exposing young people to the many different career pathways in our state. And I think this is an area where we can continue to do more. And I'm excited about the work that's happening now, but I also am hopeful that it will continue to grow.
Commissioner, in that same vein, can you tell us a little bit more about what's happening with AvTech? Are the trends good for AvTech? It's
Sure.
the one state occupational training that's operated by your department.
It is. AvTech falls under the umbrella of the Department of Labor. It's located in Seward. We also do contract training with industry partners around the state. We have a very unique partnership, for instance, with Trident Seafoods, where they pay students to come to AvTech and they get a kind of a cross section of different career and technical trade exposure over 2 years. And then Trident will pay their tuition while they're at AvTech. But AvTech does excellent work. We have a maritime program that's recognized by the U.S. Department of Labor as one of the centers of maritime training excellence in the country. We have a partnership in that consortium with the university. We also offer welding and industrial electricity and plumbing and construction. A lot of really great work. When I go to an AvTech graduation, the graduates have already got secured employment. 90% or more of our students walk across the stage, get their diploma, and then they're off to a job. So great success. AvTech is a wonderful program. We're really happy with the work that happens there.
Just thinking about maritime for a moment, with all of the new Coast Guard activity and ships and icebreakers coming to Alaska, I know there's going to be a lot of interest in shipyard activity, maintenance, repair. So I think that's a golden opportunity for young people to get trained up to work in shipyards, starting in Ketchikan, Seward, and even Wrangell, I think, has capabilities.
Absolutely. With Vigor, we have agreements with Vigor for training. Vigor has a shipyard in Ketchikan and Seward. As I said, this maritime consortium, the partnership with the university, between UAS, Ketchikan, and AvTech, we offer dozens of maritime U.S. Coast Guard certified trainings. We have state-of-the-art simulation. You can go to AvTech and you can take training and moving a tanker through any region in the world, right? We can simulate those real world experiences in the training. It's pretty exciting, very innovative and state-of-the-art training that's happening right here in Alaska.
That's a lot of opportunities. Of course, always a lot of challenges. But anyway, Commissioner, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. And
we continue
thank you
the conversation.